Hello, welcome to my channel. You're watching What Helen Reads and I'm Helen, and today I'm so excited to not only be bringing you a bonus video but also a collab video with my friend Amber from Amber Reads Romance. Now the reason for the collab today is because we're both celebrating 2 years on BookTube. In fact, we both started our channels back in January of 2023. Amber started a few weeks before me in the middle of January, and I posted my first video at the end of January. So we thought it would be really fun to do this collab video so that we could celebrate 2 years with 2 books, giving you 2 reviews. Now, to make this interesting, what we've actually done is looked at our favourite books from 2023 and from 2024, and I've recommended 2 of my favourites, one from each year, to Amber, and she's going to read those and review them for you. And in return, Amber's picked out 2 of her favourites, one from 2023 and one from 2024 that I haven't read yet, and I've read those and will be reviewing them for you today. So what I'm actually going to do now is actually clip to a video of Amber, because she's going to introduce herself to you and also introduce the first book to me. So over to Amber.
Hey Helen, thank you so much for reaching out to me on this amazing collab video to celebrate our 2-year BookTube anniversary. I was surprised that we both had really close to the same time, and we've both been on BookTube for 2 years now. I love your channel. We obviously love a lot of the same stuff, so I'm so excited to be doing this. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Amber from Amber Reads Romance, and me and Helen actually read a lot of the same type of genres. I love dark romance, I love mafia, I like taboo, so I was very excited that we are doing this together. Now, to come up with 2 recs that Helen hasn't already read was kind of difficult because we do have such similar tastes, but I do have some different recs that I think will be a fun choice for her. So Helen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over my 2 recs. They're 2 completely different genres, and I really hope you enjoy them as much as me. Basically, for the first pick, we are going to go the mafia route. I have one of my favorite authors that does mafia romance, and this book is Cosa Nostra by Nicci Harris. Now, this is actually the bind-up of Our Thing and Cosa Nostra. So you already know because I mentioned it to you, but you know, this is actually Cosa Nostra is the second part of a duet. Now, these first 2 books are the first 2 books, a duet of the same couple, Max and Cassidy. And this series is the Kids of the District series by Nicci Harris. Now, I really love this because it was very unique to me. I haven't really read I haven't really read a lot of mafia romances that are set in Australia, and that's where this is set. Nicci Harris is Australian, and this was just such a great series. I loved like every book in this series, but Max Butcher just holds a special place in my heart. He's one of my book boyfriends, even though he is a very grumpy, I hate everyone but her, he's got touch her and you die vibes. I just love Max Butcher, and you know, the fact that Cassidy stole like his heart and made him melt for her, I just loved it. So Our Thing was a good book. I liked it. Didn't blow me away. But Cosa Nostra really like just tugged at my heartstrings. I don't know if you're going to get as emotional as I did, because I literally cried near the end of Cosa Nostra. So it might have just been that time. I don't expect you to get as emotional as I did, but for some reason, I just love this one so much. And Max, just seeing him, and even later in the series, I just love him. So I'm not going to go too into the details of it because you're going to be reviewing it, and it is the second part of the duet. Just know that there was kind of a cliffhanger, but it's more about the mafia stuff going on and suspense, and they're pretty solid at the end of the first book. But it does have some, you know, the events that happen have some effect on their relationship and Cassidy, and so they have to work through those things together. And I just really loved how much they grew from that book to this book, and the way their relationship evolves. So I won't say anything more, but this is Mafia. It's dark. It's not super dark, I don't think. But this is a great series. This is one of my favorite Mafia series. And so I'm so excited for you to give this one a shot. And I hope you love it as much as I do. If you don't cry, don't worry about it because I think I'm the only one. So it just hit me emotionally.
Okay, so the book that Amber recommended was Cosa Nostra by Nicci Harris, and this is book 2 in the Kids of the District series. It's kind of a mafia series set in Australia, so it was something a little bit different. Now, prior to reading this book, I'd only read one book from Nicci Harris before, which was Born in Silk, which is a dystopian romance, and I did really enjoy that one, so I was really excited to give her Mafia series a try, particularly as it is set in Australia and I hadn't read an Australian Mafia romance before. The one thing about Cosa Nostra, which Amber has also mentioned, is that it's actually book 2 of a duet, and so of course I had to read book 1 first. So I'm going to talk briefly about book 1 before I talk more in depth about book 2. Book 1 then is Our Thing by Nicci Harris. This is book 1 of the Kids of the District, but also book 1 in this series as well. And in this book we are following Max Butcher and Cassidy. And the setup for this one is that Max is one of 2 powerful families in the town where they are, and it's well known around town that they can control this town and therefore kind of are part of this mafia family. Now, the actual guy in charge is a man called Jimmy, but Max's father is also pretty powerful and they kind of have, you know, controlled this town together. So Max, as one of the sons, kind of fulfills like this enforcer role where he very much uses his size and persona to very much intimidate people, and where he has to, he metes out punishments and justice for his family. As such, Max is very much feared by a lot of people. He's a very scary kind of guy. He's extremely grumpy and he really doesn't like very many people at all, and he doesn't suffer fools, so he, you know, doesn't make small talk, doesn't make people feel comforted in any way, and you know, he's very unapologetically himself. And then we have Cassidy, our heroine. She's just turned 18. She is a very talented ballet dancer, very beautiful woman, and very kind-hearted and sweet kind of personality. She's also a virgin heroine in this one as well. Now, secretly, she's always had a crush on Max, because when she was younger, Max actually stood up for her brother and stepped in when her brother was being beaten by another boy. And so she's kind of always really hero worshipped Max for the fact that he saved her brother, and like I said, has pretty much had a crush on him all of this time. But Max has never really paid too much attention to Cassidy, and they don't hang around in the same circles. That is until she turns 18 and they start then to bump into each other at different events. And Max really starts to notice Cassidy, and instantly it's very obvious that he's very protective of her, because he does some things that he would absolutely not say are sweet or romantic in any way, but actually are. So when she has a little bit too much to drink at a party, he makes sure that she gets back to her room safely, leaves her, you know, some water and some paracetamol so that she can deal with her headache in the morning, that sort of thing. And slowly but surely they form this kind of friendship. And while Max absolutely tries to stay out of her way, doesn't want to reveal his emotions to anyone, doesn't want to show that he's becoming a little bit attached to her, there's definitely something there, something growing between this couple. Then they have the opportunity to spend even more time together because, like I say, Cassidy is a ballerina and she gets invited to dance at Jimmy's daughter's wedding, and she's having a destination wedding, and it means that Cassidy is going to be traveling with the wedding party to this kind of like beach resort. And not only that, but she's going to be in close proximity with Max, and they're going to have the opportunity to kind of continue to develop their physical relationship. Now, like I said, Max very much hides his emotions for her because he doesn't want her to be used as leverage against him. He knows it's a very dangerous world to be in, and to be in love with someone puts him in a very vulnerable position. But nevertheless, because he's so protective of Cassidy, because he, you know, cannot bear to the thought of anyone messing with her or hurting her or even touching her, it becomes very obvious very quickly that he does deeply care for her, and therefore Jimmy and his father take notice and realise kind of what's going on, and then it puts Max in a bit of a precarious situation. So this first book absolutely ends on a cliffhanger from a plot point perspective, because there's lots going on in this book. There's lots of kind of intrigue and kind of drama and things going on with the characters and people trying to one-up each other, and Cassidy definitely finds herself in the middle of this. Now, their relationship has definitely blossomed through this first book, and I absolutely love this first book. I rated it 5 stars, really loved it, and could not wait then to go on to the second book in the duet. And it definitely ends on a happy finale for this couple. They're pretty solid by the end of this book. But something quite traumatic does happen at the end of this book, and Cassidy is attacked and Max wasn't there to protect her. And as we go into book 2, Max is definitely going to have to deal with this situation, and how he feels about it is anger, and also the fact that he kind of feels helpless to do anything to help her as well. So that then actually brings us to Amber's recommendation, which is this book, this second book in the series, Cosa, Nostra, where things really do ramp up for this couple, and we get to see how they're going to resolve their issues and find a way where they can be together. But this couple do have a lot that they need to go through, and some very distressing events happen in this book, which means they're going to be apart for some time. Now, if you remember, what Amber said about this book is one of the reasons she loved this book is because Max was absolute perfection. He's one of her book boyfriends, and I absolutely agree with that wholeheartedly. Max's character has been written so well. Nikki Harris did such a good job with him, because he absolutely is the perfect balance between this grumpy, very scary kind of hero. You know, he's capable of a lot of violence. He's no stranger to doing what he needs to do for his family. He's very standoffish, and like I said, a lot of people are afraid of him. And he toes that line so well between that character and how he is when he is with Cassidy, because he's absolutely devoted to her, will do anything for her, and is so sweet and kind and romantic when it comes to her. His character is absolutely the perfect balance that we really want from our morally grey characters, right? At no point is he ever mean to Cassidy or cruel to her in any way, and he is completely soft in the centre for her. And so it is quite heartbreaking, but also very heartwarming at the start of this book, when Cassidy is having to come to terms with the fact that she was attacked at the end of the first book, and overcoming her anxieties about being in a physical relationship with him again, but just how patient and caring and kind he is, and giving her the space that she needs to kind of come to terms with what happened to her. The other main point that Amber made was around how much this book really pulled on her heartstrings, and how she got very emotional towards the end of this book and shed a tear or two. And I absolutely felt the same way as well. I was so invested in this couple, really wanted them to be together. And because of all the things that were happening, just trying to figure out how they were actually going to be together with a HEA where they could really live the lives that they kind of wanted to live with each other. Now, a spanner is thrown in the works, which does mean that Max and Cassidy do have to spend some time apart. And that is a part that's completely heart-wrenching, because you so desperately want them to be together, but now they're forced to be apart from one another, and both of them are completely heartbroken. But also, they're absolutely remain devoted to one another, and throughout this whole book, Cassidy is so loyal to Max. She never ever wavers in her feelings towards him, or her trust in him, or her belief in him that he's going to pull through for them both as a couple. And I just absolutely thought it was absolutely fantastic. Like I say, Max Butcher was perfection. He's also now there as one of my book boyfriends as well. And I love the whole setup of this story, and I can't wait to read more in this series. So I also rated this one 5 stars. It was absolutely a highlight of my reading year so far, and probably will be difficult to beat from a mafia romance perspective as well. But like I say, really looking forward to reading more books in this series. So we're definitely off to a fantastic start with Amber's recommendations for me. So now it's time to find out what book she recommended as my second read and one of her favourites from 2024. So back to Amber.
Okay, so the next rec that I have is actually totally different for you, because I don't think you really read a lot of historical romance. I may be wrong, but I have a historical romance that last pick was from 2023. This is from 2024. So this historical romance is one of my favorites, and that's Forever Your Rogue by Erin Langston. She is a newer historical romance author that I think is giving me everything I want from historical romance that's kind of been missing. I think she's such a phenomenal storyteller, and she writes amazing characters. But this book just stole my heart. It was a 6-star read. It was one of my top 5 books from 2024. And I just fell in love with it so much. Like, I love a reformed rake, and that's what we have with Nate Travers in this. And, basically kind of like it's a fake engagement between Cora and Nate, because Cora's husband has passed away. And I won't go too deep into it, but her husband has passed away, and now his family is kind of trying to take custody of her children. So she wants to look like she's getting engaged, and she goes to Nate for that because he kind of needs help with some of his debts. And he was a friend and everything. And so they're going to kind of do this fake engagement. And what I love about this, and I won't go too deep into this since you're going to be reviewing it, but I will say what I love about this romance and this book is that it's so romantic. The angst, the slow burn, the longing that they have for each other, the slight touches, that's the stuff that just kills me. And I just love it so much in historical romance. And that is what we have in this book. And watching a man step up and grow and be a reformed rake, freaking love that. And her kids, like the way he steps up for her and her kids. It's just a phenomenal book. I love it so much. It is a 6-star read for me, and I adore this. So I hope that even though you don't read a lot of historical romance, I hope that you can really enjoy this one as much as me. I think that you'll really, really love the characters and the romance in this. All right, those are my 2 recs for you. I hope that you love them as much as me, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts.
Okay, so as you heard, Amber picked out Forever Your Rogue by Erin Langston, and this is an historical romance. So she acknowledged this point, and as you know as well, I don't read a lot of historical romances, and I've struggled to find historical romances that I really liked. But I have been persevering with them, and I have been trying the odd historical romance here and there, because there have been a few that I've really, really loved. And so I was actually really excited to read this one because I'd heard some really good reviews from some other booktubers about this particular one as well. So the tropes for this one is kind of a fake engagement, it's friends to lovers, repaying a debt, and it's a single mum to 2 children. And we were following Cora, also known as Lady Dane because she's a Viscount in this one, and Rogue, who is Nate Travers, and he's actually kind of like second in line to be a lord, but currently he is definitely a rogue because he really doesn't want to settle down. He doesn't want a wife or a family, and in fact he just likes living the high life, right, with lots of gambling, lots of drinking, and lots of women. And so he's very, very much a playboy. However, his elder brother is the kind of current lord, and he's done everything he can his whole life to, do right by Nate and try and make Nate an upstanding member of the community, shall we say. But Nate really fights him at every turn and never really thinks he's going to be able to live up to his brother's expectations. And so they're very much at odds with each other. And right at the start of this story, in fact, they're kind of a bit more estranged. His brother's really cut him off and is refusing to give him any more funds, so he can't gamble any more money away. So Nate finds himself in a bit of a financial pickle at the start of this book. Luckily for him though, at this point, Cora, our heroine, needs his help because Cora is now a widow. She's got 2 children, but she's found herself in a situation where her husband actually left guardianship of her children to his sister and her husband. So basically the children's aunt and uncle. and now she's at risk of losing her children. So she's really needing and wanting to have full custody of her children, but because of the way the law works, the aunt and uncle have just as much say in not only their physical but also their educational well-being as well. And not only that, like I mentioned, Cora is a Viscountess, and her son is now inherited the title of Viscount, except he's just a young boy. And so currently his estate and all his wealth is being held kind of for him, being looked after for him by his uncle. And so Cora is, like I say, finding herself in a very sticky situation. So this is where she enlists the help of Nate, because Nate was a childhood friend. She knows that he's in dire need of money, and also he owes her a debt because she did him a big favour previously, and he definitely owes her a favour in return. And so she goes to Nate and says, I need your help. I need to get custody of my children. And what we think will help in court is if I am engaged and to be married to another man, so that I can provide a stable home and father figure for my children. And so I want you to enter into a fake engagement with me, and in return I'll pay you some money. He's a bit reluctant to start with, but he eventually agrees, and then they go off to Berkshire in her country home, where they're going to spend the summer together, but also with this children's aunt and uncle as well, and they're hoping that they're going to be able to work things out. Of course, this aunt and uncle are really horrible characters. They've got nefarious intent. They really don't care about the children, but they definitely have their beady eyes on the country house and the child's money. And when Nate gets there, he wasn't intended to really take his role too seriously, but the more time he spends with Cora and the children, the more he kind of gets to know them and becomes emotionally attached to them, and also the more horrified he becomes about what's happening with this aunt and uncle who are trying to take the children away from Cora, and just how horrible they are to her and some of the things they are trying to do. So Nate really becomes invested in what's going on with this family, and really becomes determined to help Cora figure a way out of this so that she can keep the children for herself. And so it's really great to see his character arc from this very kind of roguish kind of guy who doesn't really want to commit to anyone or anything, and how he falls in love with Cora and the children and becomes so committed and loyal to them that he's willing to do anything in order to help her keep the children. And this is one of the main things that Amber liked about this book. She explained that she really likes a reformed rake, and our hero in this one, Nate, definitely goes on a fantastic character arc in terms of how he develops and where he wants to go with his life at the end. And he also kind of repairs his relationship with his brother as well, which is really interesting and nice to see. In addition to that, what Amber really also liked was how romantic this was. It was definitely a slow burn, and you could really feel the longing and pining between this couple. I agree, and I could see that, but probably not to the extent that Amber kind of felt it and saw it. For an historical, I did enjoy this one. I thought the story was really good. I did like these characters and these families, and it was great to see Nate's character grow, but also our heroine as well, because she had to go through a change in mindset as well, and really let Nate in and let her help him, because she becomes so independent and trying to do everything herself that she really needed to hand over trust to him that he was going to be there for her when she needed him. So overall, if you enjoy a historical romance, I absolutely would recommend this one, but it wasn't up there as one of my favourites. I rated this one 4 stars, so it was a solid read for me, but not a book that really blew me away. And I think what is blocking me is not anything to do with the author or the writing or even this story, because like I said, if you like historical romances, I think you will absolutely love this one. But some of the things that put me off about historical romances were some of the same things that I struggled with in this book, and that is the way the book is written, the language, also the pomp and circumstance that goes along with these stories, right? All the traditions, all the things I have to stick to, all the pearl clutching that goes on, and the outrage when someone does something that we would consider today to be nothing at all, but that back then was obviously very scandalous. So I really didn't enjoy those parts of this story, and therefore this wasn't a 5-star read for me. But like I said, it was an absolutely solid read. I can see why so many people like it, and I think if you like historical romances, then you'll really enjoy it too. So there we go, that is 2 romance recommendations that Amber had recommended to me. and what I thought about those books as well. So as always, if you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content from me. And I'd also ask you to pop over and check out Amber's channel. I'll pop the link down below. And I've also put a link to her video where I've recommended 2 books to her. So if you want to know what I've recommended to her and what she thought of those books, please hop over there and show her some love, give her a like, leave her a comment, and subscribe to her channel if you haven't already. And if you are one of Amber's subscribers and you're watching my channel for the first time as well, I really hope you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see more content from me. So that's it for today. All that's left for me to do then is thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye. Theme is definitely 2 books, 2 reviews. So today I'm so excited to not only bring... In fact, we both started in early 20... In fact, we both started our channels. Amber started a couple of weeks before me, and I did... Amber started a few...